And before we look at that national championship game, I want to, go back a week. Not even a week, but let's talk about that 51-45 win that TCU had over Michigan. As I mentioned, just an epic semifinal weekend. Both games were incredible. I did see someone write that they shouldn't have them on New Year's Eve just because of the New Year's Eve, everything that's going on with New Year's Eve. Maybe that would take some viewers away. I can see that point, but anyway, certainly the Frogs and the Wolverines gave us, thrills and chills and maybe even a little bit of controversy. How can we have a college football game without a little controversy? Now that a few days have passed, what stands out to you guys most about this game, and what was the biggest factor for the Frogs?
I'm going to say it was how I would say that their pick sixes on defense were probably the biggest turning point. But that kind of goes along with what TCU has done all year. They just make the plays when they have to make them, and they're really good in late game situations, just coming through, with a touchdown or a defensive turnover, or just whatever they need to make, to make that play. So, I think Michigan was probably the better team, but TCU's done this kind of thing all year.
It's weird to say the defense played well when they gave up 45 points, but I agree with John. The combination of the interceptions and, I feel like Michigan just came into the game really thinking they were going to push them around and run the ball. And honestly, that didn't happen. Michigan was more successful throwing it, and TCU was able to get ahead and kind of turn it into their game, which was back and forth and a lot of explosive plays. As John said, they were really comfortable in a close game because they've been in so many this year, so they weren't really fazed by it. But yeah, it was a combination of kind of holding on with the defense and getting out to a lead, and then offensively they just made the plays they had to. There were a couple times in that ball game where it got to 21-16 and then 41-38, and it sort of felt like, okay, this is the time where Michigan takes over and maybe pulls it out. But Quentin Johnston having the 75-yard touchdown catch on 3rd and 7, and they put together a big drive when Michigan cut it to 5. They're able to get a stop at the end of the game. They just sort of did what they had to do, which is what they've done all year. But I really think the tone was set by just the fact that Michigan came in with a plan and they really weren't able to execute it like they thought. And then even though the game got close, it was more of a TCU style of a football game with a lot of points and a lot of back and forth scoring.
Yeah, I think starting the game like they did and kind of hitting Michigan in the mouth right away. Well, I say that obviously Michigan had the big play, there at the start of the game, but then TCU's defense holds. I agree with you, Stephen. The fact, you look at the score and you immediately think shootout, and certainly it had elements of a shootout, but TCU's defense came to play and made some big plays, and I think out-physicaled Michigan. And as you said, I don't think the Wolverines expected that. I think they took TCU a little too lightly, and that was a wake-up call for both Michigan and maybe a lot of the country, for sure.